phone call from Phil Banfield, my manager, the next day, saying, Ian, if you're going to make these major decisions, career decisions, he said, I think we should talk about it first. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, apparently yesterday you agreed to join Black Sabbath. I said, well, I don't remember that.
The next thing we were doing, we were into rehearsal, writing an album.
So that's how it came about. And I made one record and did one tour. And it lasted about a year. And it was the longest party I've ever been to.
Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Krash Course Metal Show. I'm Trevor Krash Knight, and we got with us here Chris Elliot again. What's going on, brother?
Not a whole lot. What's going on with you, Krash?
Yeah, same old, same old. We got a very cool album review going here again today. We are going to be doing Black Sabbath's Born Again. Now, this album here came out in 1983, August of 1983. And the length of it is 40 minutes long. It is the first and only Black Sabbath album with Ian Gillan, at the time formerly of Deep Purple. It did reach number 4 in the UK charts and also hit the top 40 in the United States. You do have Ian Gillan, like mentioned, on vocals from Deep Purple. Tony Iommi on guitars, Geezer Butler on bass, Bill Ward on drums. And I believe this is Bill Ward's last studio album that he did until he came back and did a track or two for the reunion. Chris, tell us a little bit more detail on Black Sabbath Born Again.
Yeah, so it came out in 1983, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Pretty sure that was 83. Yeah, Ian Gillan was the singer for, he had been with Deep Purple, obviously, and then this was to be not a Black Sabbath album. It was, I think, originally going to be kind of a supergroup thing. And I believe they recorded a lot of it, didn't even know it was going to be called Black Sabbath until the end, where the record company insisted that they go with Sabbath, and there you go. So it's quite interesting artwork.
It is.
I've seen this on the list of the worst album covers ever. It's pretty striking. I look at it and I just, it's pretty self-explanatory.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's the worst album cover. I think it's okay. It's nothing. It definitely wouldn't be on my top 10 of worst album covers ever. I'll put it that way.
I think it just grosses people out. Well, it's just shocking,
right.
If you see that, and the colors, look at the colors. They're bold, it's purple and red.
Yeah, it does not match it. Yeah.
It's just crazy looking, Demon Baby. And it's just, and especially again, think of the time period, 1983,
exactly.
It was fairly more shocking than it would be today.
Right. Yeah. Now, I did hear the story that that they put that baby was supposed to be an inside joke as to Ozzy's kid. Did you hear about that? Because of Shannon's kid, whatever, the whole Ozzy leaving thing. Yeah. Did you ever hear of that side, like that rumor? I guess
it sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know what the truth is to that.
I mean, I can understand it, but I only heard that like once or twice, like the past couple years that I've been digging into this album. But I don't know if that's 100% fact.
The original album, if you notice, it actually sounds pretty crappy for the most part. It's not, the production on the album is pretty bad. And the explanation is that it sounded great when they were recording it and everything, but they were doing a lot of coke and a lot of drugs and a lot of things, at the studio. but something happened in the mastering where they weren't paying a whole lot of attention or something, and they ended up getting this very muffled sound to the overall quality of the album. That it apparently was in the, I guess it was the post mix. It was when they mastered it, but it just it apparently appalled the band. They were just thought it was horrible, and you can hear it. It kind of sounds like it's got kind of muffly sounding. It's, just got some crap. And Tony's guitar solo tone, especially on the Trash, Digital Bitch, a few others, is just terrible. It's like
Yeah.
one of the worst sounds I've ever heard in my life. And I don't know why he let that slip. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, as far as that goes, because he's a great guitar player. And in fact, his the last Sabbath album they ever did, the live one in like 2017, I think it was, or
Right.
he's got a great tone. It's like one of the best tones I've heard. It's like awesome. And his leads are just beautiful, and
Oh
it's just
yeah.
such a great sound. But this album, they were just so drugged up, or so, I don't know what it was. I mean, I'm guessing I'll just have to chalk it up to that. But and from reports that I've heard. And so then you might ask, well, what is the appeal of the album? And I think if you these songs are, I mean, it's pretty much almost perfect as far as good songs go. I mean, if you put aside the production quality, it's a really, really strong album. I mean, the songs are just amazing, from beginning to end. There's really no weak points. So out of all this chaos and craziness, you get a really strong album. But uh, I don't think it was appreciated as much at first, and now it's got a very like a cult following.
It
There's
does.
people that just love Born Again, and it's been lauded by the metal masses. I know, like some of the thrash metalers and so forth. They will look back, or the doom metal. They'll look back and say that was the album right there, and I can totally see that. It
Yeah,
was
I
very
agree.
influential. It was, had its own sound, especially Ian Gillan coming in, which he
Right. Right.
originally was like, he would say, I wasn't the right singer for Sabbath. It wasn't, I shouldn't have been in that band, but I kind of disagree. I wish they would have done another album at least,
Yeah.
because I think they really had something good. It was a cool chemistry, I think.
It was kind of to before we jump into tracks, I'll talk to the point of the production of the album. I remember when I first heard this a couple years ago, that wasn't the first thing that came to my attention was how bad the production was. I thought it was okay. I didn't really see it as a negative or a positive. But I do really enjoy. I think this is some of the strongest songs of up until that point, up until what 77 and after to here. I think you could throw any almost you could throw most of these songs at anything that they did the previous 5 years or so, right up with anything that they did. It's really good stuff, really good writing, and this is kind of cool, like to see what Black Sabbath and Deep Purple would have sounded like. It's kind of it has that total feel to it. It has a little bit of Deep Purple feel, just obviously because of Ian on vocals, but then you still get Iommi's sound and you know Geezer's bass and such like that. So it's a really cool combination that a lot of people that probably do like the record do enjoy both Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, but I don't know. I think it's one of those things that you just don't hear a lot about people talking a lot about, and it's one of those cool duos that or a super group that came together and made a really good album. So, but we
Yeah,
could jump into the track listings here, Chris, if you want. Get
sure.
started on them.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah, it gets things started with a bang with Trash. You know, and it's a rocker, right? It's
it
got your
is.
typical Tony Iommi riff. It more of a, not a single note riff type thing, but this is more like a chordal thing. He was doing, more of that with Dio. With the Ozzy stuff, he would be more single note riffs. And I think with this album, you kind of get both for the most part. I mean, more chordal, because I guess that's more how Ian Gillan was, what his vocals worked the best with. So
Hmm.
yeah, Trash, terrible guitar tone with the solos, but um, I don't know. I mean, it's just a great song, and it's cool. I think it's about him wrecking his car or something,
Yeah, being
or
drunk
Bill
and
Ward's
driving
car, I think it
around.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I
because he
think
used to.
they
Yeah.
did have a music video for this, didn't they?
Oh, I
I
don't know.
I think I'm pretty sure I did see a music video for this on what was it like? What's there the V or the MTV Classic that I seen
The
on like the
Headbangers
Metal
Ball
Mania?
or something.
Yeah, they had a video, and I actually didn't even know that up until a couple months ago. I seen it. I was surprised, just as anybody else. I was like, I did not know that they had a music video for this. But it's just basically Ian, I think, going around in a car and singing, and just basically what the song talks about.
Yeah, right. He said that he was more into stories. In fact, I
Right.
don't know if you know when they toured, he said that he had to memorize all the Ozzy and Dio stuff, but that it wasn't more like telling a story. It was more mystical stuff, like the Geezer Butler lyrics. And
But I agree with you. Trash is a good song. It does have that fast, in your face feel to it. But I think Ian does fit well. I'm kind of on the other side as far because I know some people that I talk to about this just don't like Ian Gillan and Black Sabbath for some reason. But for me, this kind of sets the tone a little bit here. Trash does. So
Mhm.
very good song. But I can agree with you. There's a little bit of a tone. It does stick out a little bit as far as Tony's solos, but for overall, it's a good song. Very good song.
Mhm.
So we go on to the second track here, and we got the instrumental going into the third track, Disturbing the Priest. With Stonehenge is the instrumental, and then Disturbing the
Mhm.
Priest is the actual track, third track. So, Chris, tell me a little bit about Disturbing the Priest.
Yeah, well, yeah. One real quick comment about Stonehenge. Not that I mean, it's just a little instrumental, but in fact, they have the one of the bonus tracks on this is the extended version of Stonehenge, which
Oh,
we
okay.
really don't need. It's kind of the same thing, just longer. But for the tour now, rumor has it that Spinal Tap, they stole or copied that idea of Stonehenge, the actual stones from the Black Sabbath tour,
Okay.
which could be. Now, I think for the Spinal Tap thing, they were like too small or
Yeah,
something, or
yeah, yeah. They were like
I
miniatures.
don't know, wasn't it? But this Black Sabbath, they were like way too big, and they couldn't use them for half the shows because they just couldn't put them in the arena. Crazy stuff like that. But anyway, that kind of sticks in my head as far as that goes. So it's Disturbing the Priest. It's another rocking song. It's
Yeah.
just awesome. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, it's got a lot of screeches. It's like you either. I can see some people kind of being put off by that with Ian, but you know what it did. I think I read this somewhere else or heard this, but and it's true if you think about it. It's kind of like when the next year, he went and did Perfect Strangers with Deep
Yes.
Purple at the
Yep.
reunion. And the thought was that his best vocals, like his vocals had kind of peaked on this album and tour,
Hmm.
or maybe, you know, took a little step back on Perfect Strangers, but you don't hear the screeches of the real high stuff, kind of maybe like you did on this album. So he was really, really pulling out all the stops,
Yes.
which was cool. I mean, you heard that with Deep Purple too, Child in Time, and songs like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But man, he's just he's just really, going for it here. And it's not all perfect, he'll be like, kind of hitting, where his voice cracks and things like that. But hey, it's raw, and it kind of goes with the theme of the whole album.
It does. I agree. This is probably my favorite song off the album. When I first heard this song, I was like, "Holy hell, this is really good, dark, and like you said, raw." And I didn't know Ian could do stuff like this. His voice is perfect for this song. I think it brings you into that uh just that atmosphere of disturbing the priest. You just feel it like you're in a haunted chapel or something, and it's just really really good. Because I heard that too, as far as like this is probably the peakish of Ian vocal, because I hear people that also don't like this album say that he wasted his voice on this album. And I would strongly disagree with that, because he does. I mean, this is all worthy work and worthy songs on here. So I don't see that at all. But yeah, he does a great job on Disturbing the Priest just alone. But even on the whole album, he does very good. So Disturbing the Priest is certainly one that everyone, especially Black Sabbath fans or even Deep Purple fans, need to listen to, because it's absolutely awesome.
I guess we can move on. So disturbing freeze. The dark is another little interlude, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
about 40 seconds or so.
yeah. So I don't know if we count that as anything. Zero the hero.
What you gonna be? What you gonna be, brother? Zero the hero. Don't you wanna be? Don't you wanna be, brother? Zero the hero. When you gonna be? When you gonna be, brother? Zero the hero. Possibility, visibility, brother. Really a hero.
Now this might be one of my favorites, if not my favorite on the album. I think it's got such a great riff. Oh
It
my
does.
gosh. Like the beginning, it's one of Tony's best. I mean, really, it's just so good. And they say that I don't know if that's true, but Paradise City, Guns N' Roses,
Mhm.
that Slash or Izzy, I don't know who, actually, I'm not sure which one wrote that riff. At the end of Paradise City, that they stole it from Zero the Hero.
Oh, wow, okay.
Very similar. Da, 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 right?
Yeah, okay,
But
alright.
it's a little different Zero the Hero, but it's very close. So I don't know, sometimes I can tell you this when writing songs, like sometimes you don't know that you're ripping, like you don't intentionally try to rip it off. It's like, Slash and those guys listen to Sabbath,
Oh, yeah.
or they listen to it. So it got in their brains or whatever, and then like years later, like, oh, this sounds cool, but
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize it was already a song they'd heard before. That can happen.
And just on in a different tone and everything, just it just it becomes a part of you, and it's just
Mhm.
what do you expect if it's your influence? It's you're gonna show some of your influences.
Yeah, it'd be like something real obvious, like Iron Man. I don't think anybody could write that again because it's
Yeah,
everybody knows that. So immediately they'd be like, "Wait a minute, that's Iron Man," but
yeah,
they might not have known Zero the Hero. I don't know because it was, one of the Sabbath's most popular stuff. But I don't know. I mean, that's the rumor, but it definitely it's a very similar sounding riff.
right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's cool. Ian Gillan's. I mean, I tell you what, he does a masterful job is getting all those words in. Like, I I've had singers say to me before, like, "Hey, we need to edit this line or that line because I can't get all the words in." Well, I tell them to go and listen to Zero the Hero because Ian Gillan, there are some lines that I have no idea how the heck he got all those words to fit. Like,
It
just
is
it's
crazy.
cool though how he does it, but he makes it work.
He does. He certainly does. It is like when I listen to the song, it doesn't necessarily feel 7.5 minutes long. But at the same time, when I think about it, when I see it as 7 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm like, maybe they could have cut like a minute of this out just to kind of compact it just a little bit. But I mean, for me though, I still really like it. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's 5 minutes or 7.5 minutes. But and like you said, it's a really good riff. I as far like he might kind of repeat himself just a tad, and I think that's kind of where I'm at with maybe you could have shortened it down just a little bit. But other than that, though, I this is still a memorable song. This is probably the second or third on favorite song for me on this album. Certainly one that gets caught as an earworm. You catch yourself singing along with it and stuff. So, but yeah, I'm right with you there. This is a very good track to finish out the first side, I believe, of the album.
Yeah, and Tony's got a his guitar tone sounds good. He's got a really good solo in that one. It's
Yeah,
really cool. It's like real, it's got that moody kind of background. Then those not bells or that thing that kind of halfway through toward the end where it's this it's kind of evil sounding, but and then his solo is really cool, but it doesn't have that real harsh sound that like Digital Bitch or Trash has. It's
right.
got more of his smoother. It's not an annoying type of sound at all. So it's kind of weird. Like they had that EQ'd or laid in the mix really well, but for a couple of these, I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, that's one other thing to note about that song. Really good guitar solo in it as well,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I agree.
masterful riffing.
I agree. What do you expect there from Tony? It is that's what you expect. So, but since you mentioned Digital Bitch, we can move on to that. I don't have too much to. I'll go first because I don't have too much to say about Digital Bitch. This is the shortest song on the album, but for me, it's one that doesn't make the iPod. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just the production. Like, I could definitely tell with this song, like, there's something with the production on this song as far as being kind of hard to listen to for the whole 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So, yeah, this is one that just kind of gets left off the iPod. It's not hateful or anything. It's I can listen to it while I'm listening to the whole album, but for me, it just doesn't move on to my favorites on of this album.
Yeah, and I think this one the production does suffer. I think even the rhythm guitars sound a little gnarly. Just like the leads sound really bad. It's kind of like Trash, but I like it though. I think it's a good song. Um, it's kind of creative too, and I think it's interesting how Ian Gillan sort of adapted his lyrics. I mean, they're not all like about evil things. Black Sabbath. It seemed like you think like when Ronnie came in, but that kind of worked. He was writing about Dungeons and Dragons and so forth with
Yeah,
Deep
yeah.
Purple. I mean, not Deep Purple, Rainbow.
Mhm.
But all he had to do is sort of continue that trend with Sabbath because the mystical thing worked really
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And yeah, and it's like you can tell that Ian Gillan adapted that a little bit too. Not every song, but then again, Sabbath didn't write about, things of that nature all the time anyway. But
All right.
but he does go into that kind of darker um sort of elements of the style, the darker writing style for the most part.
Now, do you think that could have been why, as far as like Trash leading that off as the single on this album, that could have hurt this album as far as commercially? Because like people are like, is this what they're gonna be talking about? Like, are they totally moving like writing style or like what the concept of the album style? Because people are seeing Trash was, I guess you could say, is more of like a party song, more it's a party song compared to what Black Sabbath was written ever since the last 15 years from when this album came out. So, do you think that could have kind of hurt people, and especially Black Sabbath fans?
That's a good point. I never thought of it. It's possible because whenever you change up things like really radically, some people aren't ready for that. They're
Mhm.
not ready to accept it. Um, Sometimes they are. Look when like AC/DC lost Bon Scott, and then
Yeah,
it didn't hurt to get Brian Johnson. I mean, obviously, some people will say, well, I like Bon Scott better. I like, whatever, but, it certainly didn't hurt them commercially. But, I don't know that their words were, it was all about partying and stuff like that, which
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of same thing with Brian Johnson. I don't even know if, well, I don't want to digress too much, but I guess that is a good point, but I don't know. I think ultimately, like, people just want to hear a good song. Like, this song, to
Mhm.
me, the lyrics are like icing on the cake. If you have good lyrics, that's great. But
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily, you need a good song. That's the main thing.
I agree. That's how I always usually listen to like the music first or like the instruments first, and then as time goes on, I pick up more and more of the lyrics and remember them. But yeah, I agree 100% with that. So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I guess we can move on to track number 7 here,
Mhm.
Born Again. Anything to say on Born Again?
The title track, yeah.
Yes.
I really like this one. It's slow and moody.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, it's Ian Gillan sounds it's like one of his, it makes him shine. And Tony has a really cool emotional solo in it.
Yep.
It's that I like when they mellow out. Great chorus, really catchy. Um, I love it. I think it's a great song. I mean, I think they're all really good, but yeah, I do like that track a lot.
I'm right there, lockstep with you. This is probably my second favorite song actually on the album, the title track, Born Again. 6 minutes and 30 seconds. It's definitely not. It's certainly not overstaying its welcome. Very good. Uses up all of that 6 minutes, and I absolutely love it. It's very somber, very heartfelt, kind of as far as Ian and even the solos. Very good stuff. This is probably the slowest song on the album, I believe, because I don't keep it
Yeah.
warm. I think is kind of on the medium to slower pace, but I think Born Again is the slowest though.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, certainly, and they hit it out of the ballpark. If you had to choose one slow song Black Sabbath to do for this album, this is perfect right here, Born Again. So I just I'm gonna copy everything that you said. Basically, I agree. It's one of the best songs on the album.
Yeah.
So we
And
move. You got anything? What?
yeah, I was gonna say, moving right
Yep.
along, right?
Yep.
The
So
hotline.
Hotline, yeah. Tell us a little bit about Hotline, Chris.
Yeah, I like it. It's another strong one.
Hmm.
It's got a cool riff. Oh, it's more of a chordal riff. It's actually kind of easy, and there's nothing complicated about it. But got a good chorus. It's very catchy. Rocks. It's one of those rockers. Um, it was in their live set because on this extra disc, it's actually the show at the Reading Festival. It was August 27, 1983. So they were touring this album. So the Hotline was one of those that are played live as well. And you can tell because it's a good rocker. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely one I'm not going to skip.
Yeah, it's certainly a faster song too. I
Yeah.
do now. It's probably not on the top half of my favorites on this album, but it's certainly like you said, still very listenable. It doesn't get skipped, but it's just more of the same, more good stuff though off this album. Nothing bad to be said about it. It's just one that just isn't going to be in the top three for me as far as off this album. So basically moving on here to the final track, and that is track number 9, Keep It Warm. As I said, it's kind of like another slower paced song, a little bit faster than Born Again, but I really like it. I think it ends off pretty well. I think it ends the album well, kind of gets you back into that album cover mood. That is certainly Disturbing the Priest. That's another thing. Like Disturbing the Priest, like that kind of really fits the album cover as well. So, and Keep It Warm kind of has that feel though to it. Born Again also has that feel as far as with the album cover. Very good song though too. Definitely in the middle of the pack though for me as far as on this album, but a good way to end the album.
Yeah, and it's catchy. It's a little more lighter, I guess you could say, than the others.
Hmm.
It's about him missing his woman and he's away. Nothing, pretty typical. I mean, but
Yeah,
you know,
Ian
it's
Gill and stuff. You know.
right, there you go. Back to the discrepancy in the or disparity in the lyrics, like
Mhm.
a little bit, So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't bother me, but no, I think it's I like it. It's a good song. I won't skip it. And
Mhm.
it is a good way to end the album. I think, there you go. You've got 9 tracks, 2 of them are intros,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you have less chance of screwing things up with one crappy song. And who knows, maybe that's as much as they did on this. There's actually only really one bonus track. Well, there's Stonehenge Extended, which
Mhm.
I'll just mention that while we're on, because I don't. This doesn't really count, but it's extra credit, I guess. The Fallen. I
Okay.
know. I don't know if did they have more tracks that they recorded, or did they just maybe they just didn't have a lot of material.
Well,
I don't know.
I feel like Ian or Tony was saying that they did have other stuff that they were going to be releasing in the next couple years, because there was like a time there, like the past 20 years or so, where Tony was said that all of it was lost. Like all of this, their recordings and stuff like was lost, or some record company had it. I forget how the exact story went, but they didn't have it, what all they recorded. So that's why we never really got a true like remastering of it for a long time. And but I did hear like from like the last year or so that they are going to be either releasing some new stuff with like another remaster, or I forget exactly what the story is, but there does seem to be some something in the works as far as another release or re-release of this, which would be very interesting.
Yeah, I thought there was something more recent than this, but I'll have to look into it. I don't know, but as far as this goes, they only have really one extra track, but um, like I said, I mean the original it's just got those 9, but that's all it really needs. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's pretty strong as it is. There's really not really any filler to speak of.
All right, so I just looked it up here real quick. Tony Iommi says original tapes for Black Sabbath's Born Again album have been found. I'm thinking of
Hmm.
remixing it. So that was in 2021.
Oh, okay.
So that,
Oh, I heard that.
yeah.
Well,
So
I don't think they did ever remix it.
okay, well then there we go. We have something to look forward to. I will definitely, because I don't have a physical copy of this album yet. So I would definitely pick it up if he ends up remixing and re-releasing it. So that would be pretty cool. Uh
Yeah, this I think is a remaster, but it's not a remix.
okay. All right.
Why yeah, I don't know why they hadn't got to it yet. I don't know. I mean, you think it would be worthy of a remix just because it's, you know, got such bad quality to some of these tracks. I mean, you could really make it shine.
Oh
especially with
yeah.
today's technology, and I mean,
And there's
it wouldn't
certainly
it wouldn't take a whole lot,
right,
honestly,
and there
to
certainly has
better.
its fans now. Like it
Yeah.
does have a following now that people would, I think, buy it. New fans would buy it, and also older fans that would just want to hear the remix of it too. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would definitely be interested in picking that up then. But yeah, that was what, last year now, 2021. So we'll see how fast he might. We'll see what happens with that. But
Yeah.
either way, a very good album. One of my favorite Black Sabbaths. I certainly grabbed this over a lot of the Ozzy stuff, which obviously people know that I'm not the biggest Black Sabbath Ozzy guy. So like this was certainly a pleasant surprise though for me when I first listened to this. I was not expecting it to be this good, because you always hear how like a lot of people don't like it. It didn't do well commercially, but I gotta say, when I heard it, I absolutely loved it. Certainly, Disturbing the Priest, hands down, one of their best ever. And Born Again, the title track, and also you know, Zero to Hero is very good as well. Trashed, I'm kind of mixed. Like I wouldn't have probably put that as the single though. As far as not, it's certainly not probably my favorite top. It might not even make the top 3 tracks off my favorite tracks off this album. So I give it a thumbs up though, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Thumbs up.
All right, guys. So I guess that pretty much wraps up this album review of Black Sabbath's Born Again. Check it out. If you want to hear what Deep Purple and Black Sabbath had a Born Again baby, that's what it would sound like. So, guys, let us know in the comments what you guys think of the Ian Gillan experiment with Black Sabbath and Born Again. And should they have made another album? Or were you cool with Ian going back and doing Perfect Strangers? So that could be a whole nother discussion as well. So, all right, guys, that's Chris Elliot right there. I'm Trevor Krash Knight, and we will see you guys next time.